It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center, High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
They love you not. They love you. Satisfying your customers, it's a full-time job. Want an easy way to make them happy? Try having your ornamentals delivered straight to the job site with Nursery Direct. Could save you and your clients a pretty peony. Think about it. Instead of driving to the nearest nursery, picking up the order, and then driving to the job site, your crew's able to begin work right away. That cuts time and labor. Savings you can pass on to your customers. And you can get your plants delivered direct, even if you don't have a nursery branch in your area. Here's another quick tip. Keep a substitutions list on standby for every project, so your team knows what to do in case a plant isn't in stock. Because there's nothing customers appreciate more than a project that finishes on time and on budget. They love you. They really love you. Aww.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You're tuned to NBC Radio, KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere around the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. As a reminder, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, whichever you prefer. Just look for Viewpoint with Father John. And if you miss an episode of this show, just go to YouTube and in the search bar, put Viewpoint with Father John, KCAA. And you can get all of almost 4 years worth of shows. I can't believe I'm almost a 4-year-old now. I still feel like a 2-year-old.
You act like one too, but that's okay.
That's okay. I just changed my diaper anyhow. And so, having said that, you can also follow me on Instagram or on Twitter. He got me all Twitter-pated at Father John Reed. Father is spelled out, and Reed is the proper Irish R-E-I-D. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Sorry, I'm trying not to cough here. Disposing of false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And just a few shout-outs, boys and girls. I first of all want to tell you about Claremont Pharmacy, as I do each week, owned by Dr. Nikki Ho. It's where I get all my pharmaceutical supplies. They take good care of me, and they will take good care of you as well. You know, if you really want really good old-fashioned service, and when I say old-fashioned, I mean people who really care, who look you in the eye, who, you know, you're important to them. Go to Claremont Pharmacy. It's on the corner of Indian Hill Boulevard and Arrow Highway in the city of Claremont. And if you want the best DJ service in all the Southland, you want to go to lakesidedjservices.com. And it's run by our own Frank, who's in the booth tonight, and he always takes care of the show, and you see how well he takes care of us. I should say you hear how well he takes care of us.
That's right.
And he'll do even better for you. And to add to the fun, he has photo booth. And he has more than one, so he can do more than one party a day. So definitely get a hold of him at lakesidedjservices.com. And you know, each week I tell you about my friend Glenn Kirshner at Justice Matters on YouTube. Glenn was a federal prosecutor for 30 years and was a JAG attorney in the U.S. Army. He was a prosecutor. So my shout out to Glenn. Thank you for your service, and all veterans on this Veterans Day. Thank you for your services. And anyhow, he gives you real straight information. If you hear from Glenn, you can take it to the bank, because he doesn't give any false information. I think if the man told a lie, his tongue would break off. He's just that decent of a guy. I do want to give a shout out again to the veterans who have served in all different of the services. You know, we're the great nation we are because of you. And we owe you a debt of gratitude. And so I personally send you out a personal salute, and I say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And for those who've gone before us, may God rest their souls, and may they be in peace wherever they may be. Tonight is a guest who's a dear friend of the show, who's also my official fill-in host, and tonight my co-host, the great Dr. John Smith. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not. Dr. Smith is a psychotherapist. He's a professor and author of the book, The Authentic Man, A Guide to Happiness and Purpose. Now, there's a reason, speaking of purpose, there's a reason why I have him on tonight's show, and that's because we're coming into the holiday season. And for some people, this can be very difficult. Now, I'm one of those people that I love the holidays, and I drive people crazy. You know, as soon as Halloween was over, I started playing Christmas music. And
You're one of those.
I'm one of those. You can tell my place from all the eggs on the window from people throwing eggs at my place. Turn off that music. It's okay. I make eggnog and serve it back to them.
And I'm a traditionalist. I like you got to have Thanksgiving before you break out the Christmas stuff, but it apparently isn't going that way these days.
Well, I celebrate Thanksgiving, but I'm referring to Frank as the turkey. I'm sorry, Frank. I had to do it.
Oh gosh, poor Frank.
We've been working on Frank since we got here in the studio, and the poor guy. He
locked himself in the booth to get away from us. So,
he did.
Yeah.
He did. And he even put paper underneath the door so nothing would get
hear,
in.
Yeah, sounds, smells, any of that, nothing.
This is the first time I ever knew that booth had a deadlock, deadbolt. But it does.
Yeah.
Now he's working on the shade. He doesn't even want to see us through the window. Anyhow, we're doing this because he doesn't have a mic right now to answer back. He doesn't know I disconnected it in there. So, but anyhow, the reason I asked Dr. Smith to be on tonight, to be serious, is because there are people who have a difficult time, whether because of grief, whether because of past trauma, I should say, I'm sorry, for a number of reasons. I mean, I know of people who've had suicides in the family during the holidays. I know of people who have had people killed during the holidays. Mm-hmm. Many things. I mean, there was the Christmas massacre in Covina.
Yeah, I remember that few years back, but I remember that very vividly.
And for some of the people who were there, Christmas is not a time of joy for them. Right. They're still traumatized by that.
Yeah. And
so I wanted to bring you on the air because I can think of no one better to come up with good mental health strategies to help get through this. Besides, we know the standard one of, keep expectations low and all that. But I really think sometimes we have to have a game plan, plan A and plan B, and sometimes a plan C to help us get through. Would you agree with that?
Yep, absolutely. The holidays are stressful for everyone.
Yes.
And part of what causes that stress, I believe, are the expectations attached to it. And some of us have more expectations than others, but if it doesn't go the way that we think it should, then we're disappointed. Or,
that's right.
And so we may even go overboard to try to make it the way that we want it to be. I call it the Hallmark card in our head.
Oh, that's a good expression. I like that.
Yeah, you can keep that if you want. You can quote me on that. But yeah, so we have this Hallmark card in our head of how we would like it to be. And of course, that's reinforced by all the holiday commercials and stereotypes and what have you. And so we have this idea of how we think it should be. And then what we try to do is Photoshop our family and our friends and everybody into that picture.
Right.
And unfortunately, the one that we got isn't always the one that we desire or want to have. And so then we get really upset when the people that we Photoshopped into the picture don't act or look like the people that we have in our head and on that Hallmark card. And that just sets us up for more disappointment, more stress.
Or even some of them may not even desire to be in that picture. It's
yeah.
And sometimes when you're going to relatives' homes because it's expected, particularly if you're going to an in-law's home or uncle's home where part of the family just really isn't comfortable because the rest of the year they're not pleasant to be around to begin with.
I know a lot of families that, you know, what's that old saying? We only get together on holidays and funerals.
Right.
And maybe weddings. And that's true for many families. And, you know, especially now with COVID and everybody being all stressed about that, but also being, for a long time, being socially distanced and maybe sheltering in place. There may not have been the traditional get-togethers, and, you know.
One of the first shots over the bow I hear often, be nice, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
And I've seen that many times. That's where it starts. What do you mean be nice this Christmas? And then boom.
Right.
Blow
right.
up.
Well, my own personal opinion is we seem to have a nice crisis anyway, or a niceness crisis. People just, I'm seeing it every day, both in my personal life and in my, you know, on media, whatever. Just people are not being nice to each other. To, you know, they just don't seem to have the same politeness, or at least courtesy, if not politeness, and it seems awful these days.
Well, we have less filters. You know, it used to be that the two things you didn't talk about around the table, politics and religion.
Huh.
And now you have people trying to shove both down other people's throats. And, you know, this show isn't trying to be negative, but these are things that really cause big stressors on the holidays. And this year is going to be a little more difficult than years past. And here's my theory on that. We're getting towards where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel towards COVID. And people have been all locked up. And now that there's going to be some family get-togethers, there's going to be some real high expectation. And then there's going to be someone who starts talking politics. And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, when you start talking politics and you're already haven't been seeing each other and all this stuff, that's a family fight waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a holiday if the cops aren't called, right?
Yeah. Not in my neighborhood, it wasn't. If mom doesn't fall in the oven with the turkey, you know, it's not done yet.
Yeah, Uncle Joe, he has to pass out in the yard before.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. They said, "Oh, look, the elf fell off the shelf." So I don't know where that started anyhow, the elf on the shelf.
I don't either. I do think it's a very, it's a great idea, but yeah.
If any of you listeners know where that came from, shoot me a message, will you? Shoot me a message. Don't shoot me. And some people think I'm half shot already.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you know the answer to that question, I really would like to know. So, you know, either on one of the social medias or and through the website, you know, viewpointwithfatherjohn.com, because I really am interested at where that began, and I'm too lazy to Google.
Yeah.
So, expectations, that's where to begin.
Right. And then the other piece is that, and it kind of links to expectations, you know, we're supposed to be happy.
Right.
Right? Jolly, fa la 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 la, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for many, that is true. The holidays are a time where they are happy. Maybe it's the happiest they are all year. And then for others, because other people are happy, or that we're supposed to be happy, the people that aren't happy, the ones that are depressed and, you know, isolated and such, are just going to feel that and experience that on a much, much greater scale. And that's just going to make things worse, I think, for those people.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, look, we've been going through some real financial times because of the pandemic. It's hard to seem jolly when you don't have enough food to put on the table.
Right.
Or if you don't know the lights are still going to be on or not.
Right, and whether you can't put gas in your car because it's $5 a gallon, so we can't drive over the woods or over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house because we don't have enough money to fill the tank.
God, I haven't heard that song since I was a child. Now I won't be able to get it out of my head.
Oh, okay, good.
Gabby's going to thank you for that.
Okay.
I'm going to wake her up at midnight and say,
over the river and through the woods.
To grandma's house we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think we're going to get a notice from the FCC in a moment. So,
Yeah, well, there are dogs howling all over the world right now.
yeah, I'm not dating them anymore. It don't matter.
Okay.
Anyhow, so before we go to commercial break, a couple of things to consider is, again, the expectation to not having to push your opinions on other people
Right.
or telling them to shut the heck up. We're on radio, so I have to clean
Yes,
up a little bit.
right.
When they're sharing theirs, it's fine to just walk in the other room. You don't have to participate. You know, just because they're on a roller coaster doesn't mean you have to jump on the ride. You can wait at the gate and wave at them when they go by.
While this may sound horrible, especially if you're traveling somewhere and are kind of stuck somewhere,
Right.
have an exit strategy.
Exactly.
Have a plan B. Have a backup. Have a friend or somebody. Have a backup plan so that if you have to, you can escape the drama and the trauma because you have to take care of you.
Yes.
And sometimes we expect that's what our family will do, but there are a lot of times where the family is the source of that stuff. And so, have a backup plan, have a plan B, an escape route.
I think that's one sign of the insanity of a dysfunctional family. This is not a joke. Is expecting rational actions or behavior from someone who's not rational.
Yeah.
And every family has a member that's like that. And so if you're coming with the expectation and acting like they're going to be rational, well, that's a sure setup to fail.
Yeah, I use the analogy of a dry well.
Okay.
We go, if the family's a dry well, meaning that it's not able to provide us with the water, so to speak,
Of life.
that we need to fill ourselves spiritually and emotionally and whatever. If we haven't gotten it, why would we expect that all of a sudden we're going to get it? It's like drinking a bucket
Right.
of sand because we went there expecting water for the millionth time, and yet we got sand because that's all they have to offer.
Oh, you don't understand. I really like sand,
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
if you like chewing on sand, that's a good way to do it.
It seems like that was sometimes in some families because you think, why do you keep doing this? Well, it's because most people don't know better. Again, that's going back to expecting rational behavior from someone who's not rational. Speaking of rational behavior, we're at the first commercial break, and Frank is looking at me like he's going to cover me with a bucket of sand if we don't go to commercial break. So you're listening to Viewpoint with Father John with Dr. John Smith as well tonight, and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center, High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
And welcome back. You're tuned to NBC Radio, KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere around the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. Shout out around the world to all the people who've been sending me messages in my inbox. Thank you. You know, I can't believe how many people around the world tune into this program, and I really am grateful to you. It's not deserved. I'm humbled by it. And so I thank you for your trust. And I thank you for the fact that you take the time to reach out and let me know that you're listening. Because, you know, you wonder if you're just speaking into empty air, empty space, a vacuum. And when I get the emails and such, and every once in a while I get a physical letter that arrives here at the radio station, and once in a while Mark remembers to pass it on to me. Sometimes it moves me to tears because it means a lot to me that you share with me that I've earned your trust. I don't take that lightly. And I know we joke around a little bit on the show, but I really want you to know that the reason I present the guests I do, particularly like Dr. John Smith and some of the others that you've seen come repeatedly, and he's also my official fill-in host because I trust him more than anybody else in this world. You know, it's because I want to make sure that you're being benefited as the listener, not just entertained. I want you to have good information. And this is a serious time for a lot of people. Christmas is not jolly for everybody, neither is Thanksgiving. It's hard to be full of Thanksgiving when you feel like the world is nothing but pain for you right now. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people feeling that, and a lot of people are feeling very much alone these days, particularly because how toxic the political setting has become. And I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. I'm just saying the political setting right now, you never know if you're safe or not with whoever's next to you because you don't know what the mindset is. And we haven't had this before. I
don't recall in my 65 years, yes, I'm 65 years old.
You don't look a day over 70.
Yeah, I don't recall ever experiencing the level of divisiveness, the level of conflict, the level of disagreement,
or meanness,
and it's the just the discourteous meanness. Don't recall that ever until recently.
While we're doing that, I'm just going to say something out here. That as a clergy person of the Christian faith, there is not now or ever has been a war on Christmas. It's a lie that was made up. We Christians have been really bad about attacking other faith traditions. When someone says happy holidays, that means happiness to everybody, because whether you practice the Christian faith, the Hebrew faith, our Jewish brothers and sisters, Kwanzaa, it doesn't matter. We're saying whatever your practice is, we hope it's a happy season for you. It's a beautiful, loving expression. And some of these evangelicals started this about 35 years, 40 years ago, where they started saying, there's a war on Christmas, and including doing stupid stuff like going into Starbucks and when they ask your name, make them put Merry Christmas on the cups when they call your name. Oh, your order's ready, Merry Christmas. It's cheap, it's ugly, and it's dishonest. And it has nothing to do with Jesus the Christ. And if you're doing that, please stop. Jesus doesn't need you conning people for him. Jesus is about truth, not this lie about the war on Christmas. So that's the thing that ruins Christmas for me when I see it happening. And I'll give you a real quick thing about that, and we'll get back to the topic. There was a pastor down in Texas. You can look this up on YouTube so you see I'm not making this up. That these kids are in line to get their pictures taken with Santa. And he's running it for all of them, saying, you know, there's no Santa. You need to believe in Jesus Christ. And a couple of them said, and he's telling them where he's a pastor from. And a couple of the dads said, hey, stop blowing it for my kids. Well, if you want to take your kids to the devil, keep doing what you're doing. And it got to the point where they had to physically have security physically remove the guy. Wow. And then he's screaming about the war on Christmas. Well, what was he just doing?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
Remember, when you're pointing a finger, there's always 3 pointing back at you.
and by the way, there really is a Santa Claus. I'll prove it to you. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. Saint Nicholas was an Orthodox Christian bishop, and that's where the story of Santa came from. And what he would do is every year he'd keep an eye on the children, and he would put toys together. And the kids that had been really good, he would sneak into their places because they were all poor. And he was a Syrian Orthodox. And so he would take Christmas gifts and leave the toys for the children. And the ones that had been really bad, they really would leave something like a lump of coal or something that said, you know, you need to do better. So that's where it came from. So there really is a Santa.
Oh, there you go.
And so you don't have to choose between Santa and Jesus. How about just saying, whichever represents love, who cares what name you use?
Ooh, there you go.
Okay? To my little shelf on the elf. Elf on the shelf.
Well,
I'm dyslexic.
the shelf could have fallen onto the elf, and then, you know. that
Which
would
goes
be
back to
new-
the drinking elf. Yes.
Yes.
So getting back to our topic at hand, I'm sorry, folks. I just, you already know.
He had to rant just a little bit. I've been trying to hold him back all night, and he just had to go.
NBC has been a little bit disappointed I haven't gone off on a rant so far this year. So there you go. I now met my quota. Did I do good, Frank? Thank you. I just got the thumbs up. I don't have my glasses on.
I think that was a thumb.
Yeah. Yeah, small hands. But yes. Anyhow, Dr. Smith, please take us
You
out
need
of
me
this.
to bail you out here,
Yeah,
don't you?
please do.
All right.
Usually you bail me out of jail, but thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't have the money this week, so let's.
Yeah. Feliz Navidad.
Yeah. So, well, let's get into some. We've been talking about the problem. Let's get into some solutions. How's
Amen.
that? What are some things that people can do to help ease the stress, maybe make it a little bit easier on themselves and on the situation? And I've got a list of some things that I think would be useful.
Good.
Clearly, not everybody will want to do everything, but the first thing is that the holiday season, especially on the holidays, sometimes I know a lot of people that they'll have to go to this dinner and that dinner and this dinner because we don't want to upset anybody. So we have 5 Thanksgiving dinners, or we have 5 Christmases. In fact, there's a great movie. I think it was called 3 Christmases. It was kind of funny, but
I missed that one. I really did.
It was a few years back.
Was that
it
with
was
Tim, the Toolman Taylor, or was it somebody else?
No, it was somebody else. You're thinking he was a Santa Claus.
Oh,
guy,
okay,
but,
okay, yeah.
I can't
have
remember who the
I have
people
dementia.
are.
How would I know?
Yeah, but anyway, you've got all the so our schedules get really disrupted, right?
Yeah.
And we don't get enough sleep. Maybe we eat too much. We probably drink too much. If we drink or smoke or whatever we do, we're probably going to do everything we would normally do in excess, or we would do things that we wouldn't normally do, and that's going to throw our systems off really bad.
Oh, yeah.
I know. If we're traveling, maybe we're going to a different time zone, and we're going to have to adjust to the different time zone, and so we got to really think about that, and we got to try to stick as close to our normal schedule as possible. Our bodies don't adapt. This whole time zone, don't get me started on the time change.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But that forces us to have to, even if it's only an hour one way or the other, it still forces us to have to adapt.
Right.
So that's really, that's really problematic. Our bodies are not designed to make those significant adjustments.
Right.
And so that's one thing, is to try to stick as close to our routine as possible, get enough sleep. It's not selfish to
Right.
put yourself first.
It's proper self-orientation.
Right. A lot of people think, well, if I don't put everybody else before me, then that's being selfish. Well, okay, if it's always about me, then yeah, maybe that's true. But, there's a reason when you get on the plane, they say if you're traveling with a small child or someone who depends on you, whose mask do you put on first?
You put on yours first.
Wait, that's selfish, isn't it?
No, it's proper orientation.
Right, because if those people that depend on you, if you're not there to help them, then everybody's going to die. So you put yours on first. So that's the concept of self first. If other people depend on you, then you need to make sure that you're well, you're strong enough and you're in a good enough frame of mind that you can be there for them when they need you, but you can't if you're not in a good state yourself. So,
Well, it's the same concept that if you see someone struggling in the water, if you don't know how to swim, don't jump in to save them. You'll drown both of you.
recognize people for who they are. I
Right.
mean, you know who the Scrooge is going to be.
Right.
You know who the person is going to be that is going to start the argument, or is
Yes.
going to be intoxicated, or is going to burn the turkey, or whatever. You already know this. It shouldn't come as a surprise.
Right.
But again, if I expect this year to be different, and maybe you'll be surprised, maybe it will, but generally the zebras don't change their stripes.
That's right.
That
Or the
quickly.
leopard, their spots.
Yeah, one of those things. Yeah.
No, either one. I just,
Yeah,
letting you know, I
yeah.
know animals too.
Okay, yeah. So, and give yourself some permission just to let things go. I mean, my gosh, it's like I know I have a good friend whose family, and they're close, but they're close in conflict.
Ooh, say that again.
They're close, but they're close in conflict. When
Right.
they get together, they can't help but bring up the past. It's just
Right.
That's just what they do. And then of course that's when the arguments come out and the feelings get hurt, and what I noticed is that everybody has a different version of the past.
Yes.
So they're kind of trying, I call it right fighting. They're trying to, no, that's not the way it happened. And this is what so they're always, my story is right and your story is wrong.
And my experience with that situation, because I had somebody in my family that was like that, couldn't have a conversation without them talking about the abuse we went through. And you never recover. It's different to talk about memories in therapy, because you're looking for a solution, than just mulling over the past over and over again without looking for a solution. I used to call it the organ recital. My liver hurts, my spine hurts, whatever it is.
Right.
And spine's not an organ.
Well, I
I'm
like
sorry.
that organ recital.
But-
That's
but,
good, yeah.
But it was like that, and I will be honest. Once we had caller ID, when I saw it was them, I'd only take about every third call because I knew what the whole conversation was going to be. It'd be
Right.
2 minutes about how are you, and before you even answer, here it is.
And then people will say, but it's my family. Or they'll say, I have to go to this celebration, this event, this dinner or whatever. Well, no, you don't have to. Yes, the problem is in families, and especially in dysfunctional families, there's a price to pay for not following the rules.
Right.
Yes. So if this year you want to go to your best friend's house for the holidays, they invited you to spend the holidays with them, and you go, I can't because I've got to go to my grandma's house because that's what we always do.
Right.
And if you know that if you don't go to grandma's house, you're going to get a call from somebody saying, oh, who do you think you are? And you've ruined the holiday. And oh, grandma had spent the whole day in bed, crying because you weren't there.
Yeah.
So
or
they're
worse
gonna
than
get
that,
a lot of guilt and shame.
Grandma wound up going to the hospital because
Yeah,
you broke her heart.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's always the perfect
Oh,
line.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not a false story. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
doing this work for 40 some years, and I've seen it over and over and over again. It's true. It happens. And it happens with actually more frequency than we would think that it happens. And so I'm just saying, hey, I know the rules are very powerful and that there's heck to pay if you don't follow the rules, but nobody's going to look out for you but you.
Right. Right.
So you gotta, and again, they'll tell you you're being selfish, but I'm telling you, if you put yourself first, you're going to come out of the holidays with a lot less baggage than you might have normally came out with because you followed the rules.
And either way, you're making a decision, a personal decision.
Yeah.
And some people don't know it's okay to make a decision that's different than other people expect.
It's okay. I'm telling you it's okay. Father John's telling you it's okay, but you may not get the okay from the people that secretly you really want to get the okay from.
And, you know, and I'm not saying this to sound corny, but if you are afraid of catching a bad cold, you don't want to walk into a room that everyone's sick but you. And if that's what you're looking at, it's okay to evaluate and say, you know what, maybe not this year. Also, another thing I found works, and it's probably already on your list, is you don't have to have the holiday on the holiday. You can make plans for another day that's around that, or maybe a get together if you have a big family, let part of the family on this day, maybe a week later the other one, so you have time to rest up from the one.
Absolutely. Be of service if you have a chance. I mean, I don't even know what that means anymore because, you know, I don't know what's happening with large groups and, you know, but one of the things that I have done, and I found it to be one of the most rewarding things, was to work in a kitchen feeding the homeless.
Yes.
That was so powerful. And the camaraderie that we had amongst the people that were volunteering was so powerful, and the gratefulness that, you know, that people had for being able to, you know, get the food and celebrate, and, you know, it was just it completely took me out of me. You know, put me in. I mean, if there's such a thing as a spiritual experience, that was a spiritual experience.
There is such a thing as that. And the spiritual experience is not about what you get, it's about what you can give.
Exactly.
And, you know, you've heard me say this probably 1,000 times before we go to commercial break here, that love is a divine paradox. When you go out to get, you come back empty. When you go out to give, you come back overflowing. And you are what you're giving away.
Very much so. I mean, I experienced that firsthand. So, yeah, it was great.
Well, we're coming up to our next commercial break, and you're listening to Viewpoint with Father John on NBC Radio, KCAA, and I'm here tonight with my dearest friend, Dr. John Smith. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center. High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personal funeral planning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
And welcome back, friends. You are tuned to KCAA Radio on the NBC network, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I'm not used to being sober this late in the day. Or you can listen anywhere around the world on KCAAradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. And hey, Frank, how's that DJ service going? Tell me about it. What's happening this week?
Hey, Father John, it's doing pretty good. I'm doing a photo booth. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There we go. I'm running a photo booth up on Saturday at Pine Rose Cabins, and then next Saturday I'm DJing a wedding. So
Nice.
yeah, it should
nice.
be fun.
Do they know you're coming?
I hope so.
Or is this like one of those wedding crasher things?
Sometimes I just show up, and I mean, if a DJ just shows up, who's going to kick him out, right?
He
Yeah.
shows up and a party breaks out.
That's right. That's right. You know, just like I went to the blood bank one time and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah.
Speaking of weddings, shout out to my son Jonathan. As you know, I'm an Orthodox priest, so I have a family, and I got to preside at his wedding on October 31st. Yes, he got married on Halloween. How you get even with your priest father? Get married on Halloween.
That's right.
He said, "I'll help you keep your humor, Dad."
You know, I am a therapist. I can maybe work with that.
I heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was thrilled, and son and his beautiful bride Sally. Congratulations to both of you. I'm very proud of you, and was honored that you asked me to preside at your wedding. I hope I didn't cry too much during the ceremony. It was a very emotional day, and so lots of grandchildren,
Yep.
no expectation, nothing more than 15.
Yeah.
so anyhow, please continue, Dr. Smith.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan. I'm trying to keep him on the straight and narrow here, but he gets off the rails real quick.
I'm straight.
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of everything in moderation,
Right.
holidays are typically a time of excess in many ways. I'm not saying don't have fun and don't eat that extra turkey leg, or, don't have that extra glass of punch, but, everything in moderation is going to make the after effects a lot less,
Speaking of that, I'd like to throw this in there. I know I'm interrupting you. I apologize
that's
for that.
fine. That's fine.
If you are struggling with food and with self-image, body image, it's okay to go in with a food plan and to say, I'm going to enjoy these things, but here's what the portions I can have and not hate myself afterwards. As a diabetic, I like to enjoy the holidays, but I also know that if I don't want to experience diabetic neuropathy.
Yes, neuropathy or
Sorry.
whatever, whatever that term is. Yeah.
I'm struggling, and I just can't feel that one. And but if I don't want to experience that, because I'm at that stage with my type 2 diabetes, that if I pound a little bit of sugar,
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you, it hurts to put my foot on the ground. And so I give myself options. I don't deny myself. I also don't kill myself.
Right.
And so that I'm not, after the holidays, saying, God, I hate myself for that. These are acts of love for oneself, which I find to be healthy. So just throw it out there.
Well, yeah, and some people, a lot of people are, they do excess eating or excess smoking or excess drinking, whatever. They do that. Often they do it as a release valve. They're kind of self-medicating with food or drink or whatever. And then what it relieved, actually, after that wears off, now they feel even guiltier, or they are hungover, or they have they've gained 10 pounds, or, and now they feel even worse than they did before. So you're right. I always tell people, don't deprive yourself of any of the things that you would like, because in deprivation, we tend to go overboard.
Exactly.
So I say, like I say, in moderation, if you can, but also one way to deal with that is to consciously do what you're doing. In other words, don't let anything get past your mouth without your permission.
Exactly.
So that includes words.
Yes. Yes.
So, we always joke about not having a filter, and so we have to be very mindful and conscious of what goes in our mouth and in our body, and we have to be very mindful and conscious about what comes out of our mouth.
You know, I can give you scripture for that. He says it's not what one puts in their mouth that defiles them. It's what comes out of one's mouth. Those are the words of Jesus.
Well, I did not know that.
He said,
So, here we go. He and I agree.
I went to Jesus school.
Yeah, he and I agree.
Yeah. And, you know, it's the regrets that ruin the holidays the worst, because you shouldn't hate Christmas for the next 6 months.
Right. Well, I know a lot of people who dread it coming
Yes.
up, and then a lot of people who regret it afterwards. And, you know, there's no rule that says you have to enjoy the holidays.
That's right. It's a choice.
And there's no rules that say you have to celebrate the holidays.
That's right.
And there's no rule that says you have to celebrate the holidays with people that you would normally not want to be around on any other day.
And if you've had a really traumatic experience, it's okay to do something else for the holiday. You're not being sacrilegious. Look, my own theology, take what you like and leave the rest. Every day, it's the expression of God, not just December 25th, not just Hanukkah, not just Kwanzaa, or whatever your religious background is. But if we treat each day like it's holy, and what I mean by holy means filled whole with life, that's a proper celebration, not just a certain day of the year.
The other thing I recommend, you know, of course, you know, at least around Christmas time, it's about gift giving.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I know that that's a source of stress for a lot of people because, you know, what am I going to get Mom? What am I going to get Uncle Joe? What am I going to get my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or whatever? And it's got to, you know, this year's got to be bigger and better than last year, right? So it's a source of stress, and because maybe they've been out of work or they don't have money or they're in financial stress. So, you know, the obligation to buy gifts, I recommend, if you can, make a gift.
I was just going to say that because things have been tough. So sometimes I just bake cookies and put them in a nice little tin.
Nothing wrong with that. If that's
they're
the best
baked
you
with
can
love.
do, and exactly. It's the thought and the love that makes the gift, not the price tag.
Yeah, and look, I know we hear this every year, but it's becoming more and more true that Christmas and the different holidays have become so commercialized that we forget what they're about. You know, it's not that time of year unless I see the Charlie Brown Christmas, and then when Linus gets up and talks about Charlie Brown, this is what it means, and he reads from the Gospel of Luke. And I can't watch that without bawling like a baby to this day. I mean, I'm getting up in whiskers, and but just thinking about it, I have a lump in my throat right now because it reminds us what it's about. It's about love,
Right.
and all of the religious holidays are united in that. You know, I've read the religious scriptures, the holy scriptures of pretty much every religion.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I have, because I found that and there's going to be some people who are saying, oh, that's not true. Well, read them. You'll find out I'm telling you the truth. They all come back down to it's our job to love one another.
Right.
And I read that in the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Christian Bible, the Hebrew Bible, and a smattering of other religious materials, you know, where you're talking about Taoism.
Yeah.
It's in there. Like Prego spaghetti sauce. It's in there. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my mind off an old commercial that you know, when we're talking about the food, the old Alka-Seltzer commercial.
Oh.
I can't believe I ate the whole
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Today it's another thing. I can't believe I said the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know, that's what I'm saying. If you're, it's easy to become unconscious. And when
Yes.
we become unconscious, I don't mean passed out unconscious. I mean just unaware and unmindful, not present, just on then we go on automatic pilot. And when we're on automatic pilot, our subconscious mind is running the show. It's like it's literally like an automatic pilot. It does what it's programmed to do, and it's programmed based upon prior experiences. So whatever is a habit, whatever we do automatically, and it's programmed to do certain things under certain conditions.
I can prove that to you right now, really easily. Just talking about someone with Alzheimer's, a lot of times before they become totally unable to function, they'll be doing actions without even thinking about it that they've always done and not
Yes.
know that they've done it.
Yeah,
You know,
because that program is in their operating system, and which is
And the
usually the
autopilot.
last autopilot is usually the last part to go.
yes,
And so, and sometimes they'll engage in automatic behaviors that have nothing to do with what's going on now because that program became operational and it doesn't make sense now, but they do it because they've learned to do it or they've always done it. So,
well, how many times have you been trying to do the same job for many years and suddenly you're at work and you don't remember to drive?
yeah,
You're just there. You remember you left the house, and the entire time to the work you're on autopilot.
exactly. Yeah. Autopilot, subconscious mind drove the car to work.
Yeah, and that sometimes is dangerous because we become so unaware of our surroundings that sometimes we wind up playing bumper car.
Exactly. Or, I mean, it did happen to me not that long ago. I was going to a meeting and was taking the same route I take to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the meeting was a couple of exits past where I usually get off for work, but my mind was thinking about something else. My car just happened to get off at the exit that I always get off at, and I was already almost in the parking lot at work when I realized, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. But my subconscious mind knew the way to work, and I was taking the same route, so it said, okay, you're not there, but I'm here. You take this exit.
That happened to a friend of mine years ago. He's pastor of a church over in Claremont, lived down in Brea, and his partner was going to ministerial school out in L.A., and so they're going up the 57 freeway, and just out of habit, they're supposed to be going to the church on Sunday morning. He got on the 60 freeway going towards L.A. because he wasn't thinking about it, and he my minister friend said, where are you going? And he realizes, oh my God, I'm so used to driving to school. I'll get off and I'll just go back together.
Yeah.
So after that point, every time they'd be driving, my friend Carlo would say, remember, this is where we're going.
Yes.
He would never let it down. I guess he missed a class on forgiveness.
Yes, I guess so. Yes.
He says, I forgive. I just want to make sure I get to church too.
Right. I don't forget. I forgive.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we're down to our last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And what are some key things you'd like to leave the listeners with tonight that you believe would be really helpful for their mental health, their /sanity, which means good health, soma, and as we begin this season?
Well, like I said, the probably the number one takeaway from tonight would be self first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not being selfish. So self first means, again, this taking stock of the situation, looking at your expectations, realizing that the expectations are just that. They may not even be your expectations. They may be expectations that others have of you that may not fit where you're at right now or what's best for you. So unfortunately, we get stuck in those patterns, and sometimes we don't know how to get out of it without being guilted or shamed or ridiculed or whatever. And so sometimes you got to decide, well, am I willing to take the heat for this or not? The other thing that I think is a huge takeaway would be, again, be mindful and conscious about what goes in your mouth and more importantly, what comes out of your mouth.
Right.
And the other biggest takeaway, I think, and I know it's not possible for everyone to do this, but if you can find a way to be of service to others,
Yes.
Go volunteer somewhere where you will make a difference and where you will be helping those who might be less fortunate.
Yes.
Whether that's delivering Christmas dinners to the elderly or people that can't get out, whether that's working in a kitchen where you can do that. And I realize with COVID we can't all be together all the time right now, but there's still opportunities to do that. If you've never done that, I highly recommend that you at least do it once.
And put in for the volunteering right now.
Yeah.
Because this is when they're starting to put together their volunteer staff. Real quickly on that, when I was at St. Michael's Church in Arcadia years ago, for 1 year, I asked the congregation, it wasn't a large congregation, but I asked anyone who would be willing and interested to come with me to Mary's Mercy Center here in San Bernardino and feed for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So some of them did, and here's a couple of these retired cops, tough guys.
Yeah.
And we started at the Thanksgiving thing. And we were giving gifts for Christmas, and we brought some stuff, and this little 6-year-old girl comes up. And we decided instead of giving them a gift, we would let them choose.
Oh.
So they would be part of it. And there's a little girl, she couldn't have been more than 6 years old. And she's looking, and my friend who was there, a retired DA agent, and he says, it's okay, honey, you can have anything. She says, I can choose any. Yes. And she took this book, and he said, I want this. And she hugged it and ran away so happy. And we both had to turn because we just started bawling like babies. And after that, he was hooked. And for years after that, he would go to Toys R Us, and he would just take baskets and just go down the aisle and just scoop toys into it because he couldn't wait to go to Mary's Mercy Center and have things for the children. And so it's kind of neat. Well, we're in our last 2 minutes. And, I appreciate you coming on again because you bring so much to the show. But more importantly, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your experience. Because while you and I, we joke around a lot together, we're brothers basically, and we have a lot of fun. And we realize how painful this time of year can be for people.
Right.
And so I hope this time around you found some things you can take with you to use of value. Again, I want to recommend Dr. Smith's book, The Authentic Man, and A Guide for Purposeness and Happiness. There you go. I know it's something in there.
That's okay. You got the subtitle.
There it is. It's right on the screen there. And if you know someone that this show tonight would help, this episode, by all means, show it to them on YouTube because you might know somebody that's struggling this time of year. Yeah. And if you are hurting, ask for help. If no one told you this week that they love you, let me be the first. And thank you again for tuning in to Viewpoint with Father John. We'll be back next week.